Good afternoon, Relearn 2020. I am thrilled to be here. A conference on learning innovation is a wonderful place to be, and I just wanted to thank you all so much for joining me here today. My name is Dr. Trevor Soponis, and I am the founder and chief learning officer of the Sustainable Learning Projects. With the Sustainable Learning Projects, we partner with teachers, schools, and districts to collaborate and create innovative project-based learning experiences that benefit both people and the planet. Today, I'm really excited to share our work about Project Ocean Harvest. This is a brief description from our website where we're engaging in what's called 3D ocean farming. So 3D ocean farming is an effort to cultivate both seaweed and shellfish. And a lot of this work we're borrowing with attribution due to Bren Smith and the folks over at Greenwave. The green wave model of regenerative ocean farming is really one of the most important agricultural innovations of the last few decades. What's most important to understand is that it is the most sustainable form of food production on the planet. Most importantly, zero inputs. And this is really an important item for the future in Alaska when their traditional economy, particularly on Annette Island, has been fishing. So let's take a look at where we are doing this work. So this is a very zoomed out view. This is the west coast of the United States. You can see my hometown all the way down here in Portland. And up here in Southeast Alaska is where Annette Island is. So let me go ahead and zoom in. So here is Annette Island in Metlakatla, the uh, town of about 1,500 according to the 2010 census. You need to get there by ferry or a plane, and it's about 40 miles away from Ketchikan, Alaska, which is the largest settlement around. And what's interesting about Annette Island is that Annette Island is home to the Metlakatla Indian community. The Metlakatla Indian community is the only tribal reservation in the state of Alaska and is home to a large indigenous population that have been traditional fisher people for, as it says here, since 1887, where they've been formally recognized. So their economy has been based largely on salmon and herring fishing. And not surprisingly, as has been the case all around the world, herring and salmon fishing have been down for the last few years. And so this effort around sustainable food production is really about the future of Metlakatla and many islands and Southeast Alaska communities to have both sustainable food production for themselves, as well as being able to have an economic engine to drive and sustain their communities. So now that we have a better idea of the context of where this is taking place, let's dive into the what. What is actually taking place here on Annette Island? And what's actually taking place for Project Ocean Harvest to become a reality is that we are collaboratively rewriting their high school biology curriculum into a marine biology curriculum. At the heart of that marine biology curriculum is the implementation and operation of the ocean farm. So what does all of that mean? That means in the next 2 weeks, students at this school will be scuba diving for sugar kelp in order to collect it first and foremost, spawn it in a laboratory, nurture it for a few weeks in order for it to seed on a few hundred yards of twine wire, and then outplant it back into the ocean where it will overwinter, and in the spring, they will harvest it. This is really the foundational belief at the Sustainable Learning Projects, that students should be able to engage in learning that directly benefits both their local community and the global community. In this case, uh, addressing the global concern of climate change while also addressing the very local concern of sustainable food production on an island. So let's take a moment and look at the curriculum. What are students going to actually be doing? The first thing to note is that this is going to be a year-long curriculum. We intentionally made this decision so that students would be able to engage in the full life cycle of the seaweed from harvest, from harvesting in the ocean to harvesting the finished product, so that students could really engage in every step and collect data and understand everything that was going on for the full life cycle. The second thing, and this is the question we get perhaps most often, is this is absolutely grounded in the next generation science standards, so that we are grounding these explorations in anchor phenomenon and questions such as why is seaweed green and how do oysters eat, so that students can engage in learning about their local environment and the thing that they are trying to cultivate and grow. We're really excited around the pacing. So we have approximately monthly units, um, and each one of those units will have components of project-based learning. To give you an understanding, the culminating project in this uh, course is to design a mariculture business plan. And this is really an intentional interdisciplinary approach that's going to include everything from researching and describing the life cycle of the target species that they're hoping to grow, creating a plan, farm site selection, the state level kind of bureaucracy that they're going to need to navigate in order to start an ocean farm, and developing a multi-year budget, um, as well as something that I like to think is a little bit more fun, developing their company name and logo in the cultural arts class that they have. And so this is really grounded in sharing the knowledge both within the community as well as the state at large. It's really interesting to note that only 3 of 10 seaweed species in Alaska that have been permitted to be grown are being commercially cultivated. And what that leaves is an enormous gap for research and development, that there really is no infrastructure. And so our hope is that students can begin to do this research, can begin to try to cultivate these so far uncultivated species, and then present to the state, to the Fishing Alliance, to other potential interested parties, and share this information worldwide. It's really just such an exciting opportunity for students to do meaningful learning that is going to be meaningful for their immediate community, their local Alaskan community, and ultimately the global community at large. So, what are our next steps? First and foremost, we're focused this year on getting a functional ocean farm operational in Metlakatla. Once we do that, we're excited to think about expansion. Our hope is that in 3 to 5 years, we have 10 to 20 partners at the school level engaged in this type of ocean farming. The second thing we're really excited about doing is creating a higher education pathway. And what that means is that we're currently applying for some National Science Foundation grant money in order to create a mariculture focused certificate program at the University of Alaska Southeast. I think this is really, really important in that A, students would be able to get college credit for their high school classes, which has been shown repeatedly to encourage students to enroll in higher education. And it would focus and expand the place based and student centered nature of this educational track. And there you have it. That's our current vision for Project Ocean Harvest. And we couldn't be more excited about what we've already done and what we are going to do quite literally in the next few days around getting this project off the ground. I would like to take a step back and say that this is really the vision for education and innovative education that the Sustainable Learning Projects represents. We have a number of other projects. Project Student Voice, which is around collaborative storytelling across time and space. Um, Project iTree, which is about growing ecosystem specific trees in order to restore native habitat. Project Zero Waste, which is focused on community composting in order to address climate change and soil degradation. And all of these things fit into a container of, we need to have student learning make the world a better place right now. This concept of a future focused education is misplaced. And right now, particularly in our remote learning environments that are dominating the United States, students want to be engaged in something that matters right now. And our deepest hope and our deepest desire is to collaborate with educators all over the world in order to make that a reality. So, again, I'd love to thank you so much for your time. It has been an honor and a pleasure, and I cannot wait to begin a question and answer session with with some of you that are curious about the work that we've done. Thanks again. Let's talk now.